When was $500 not nearly enough? It started when this woman Claire knocked on my hotel room door looking frazzled and offered me $500 cash to watch her medically complex son Mason for an hour that night. She'd seen me working on my laptop in the lobby earlier and said I seemed responsible, and she was absolutely desperate because her regular nurse had just quit and she had a critical work presentation in the business center downstairs. Claire explained they were staying at the hotel while their house was being fumigated and she just needed 1 hour to close this deal that would change their lives. She handed me $500 in cash up front, which seemed insane for 1 hour, then started explaining Mason's cystic fibrosis routine while he stood behind her looking thin but sweet with huge brown eyes. She showed me his nebulizer for breathing treatments and the vest machine for chest physiotherapy, promising she'd be back before his 7 o'clock medications. His lungs are pretty clear today, so you shouldn't need to do anything, she said, while Mason smiled at me shyly. I'll be back by 7 sharp. Claire left a medical bag on my dresser with clear instructions taped to the top, apologizing 3 times for the short notice. Mason looked up at me and said in this tiny voice, "I'll be good, I promise." And I thought Claire was just an anxious special needs mom who needed a break. $500 for 1 hour of making sure a kid stayed safe seemed manageable, especially since I desperately needed the money. I was staying at the hotel because I had nowhere else to go. $500 could get me a room for a month. The first 30 minutes were fine because Mason was the sweetest kid I'd ever watched. He sat quietly coloring at the hotel desk, occasionally coughing into his elbow. He explained how he had to do treatments every day to breathe properly, speaking matter-of-factly about things no 8-year-old should have to understand. At 6:30, he reminded me his treatment was coming up soon, but I said don't worry, Mom would definitely be back by then. At 6:45, Claire texted, "Presentation running over, be there by 7:30 latest. So sorry." Mason saw my phone and said helpfully, "She packed extra medicine in case she was late," pointing to the medical bag. When I opened it to check, I expected maybe an extra dose or two, but inside were dozens of prescription bottles, all full, all with recent dates. There were antibiotics, pancreatic enzymes, bronchodilators, enough medication for at least a month. That seemed like over-preparing, but Claire was clearly an anxious mom. At 7:15, Claire texted again, "Client wants to see more numbers. 8 p.m. absolute latest. We'll add another $200. Mason was starting to cough more, so I looked for his nebulizer medicine in the bag and found not just one box, but cases of it, plus detailed instructions for every possible combination of symptoms. Under the medications was a binder with medical history, insurance cards, even his social security card. There were doctor's notes, specialist contacts at the Children's Hospital, and instructions for managing respiratory emergencies. My stomach started feeling weird, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong here, but I pushed it down and concentrated on taking care of this kid. At 7:45, I found a second suitcase behind the chair that Claire must have brought in earlier, full of medical equipment including a portable oxygen concentrator, backup nebulizers, the vest machine for chest physiotherapy, and boxes of supplements. Claire texted, "Almost done, 8:30 max," but the message came through as green instead of blue. Mason started coughing harder and said he really needed his treatment now, pointing to the nebulizer while I tried to figure out the dosage from Claire's overwhelming instructions. 8 o'clock arrived with me discovering an envelope in the medical supplies marked for Mason's guardian, and my hands started shaking before I even opened it. Inside were his birth certificate, medical power of attorney papers with blank spaces for a name, and a letter that started with, "I know this isn't fair to you." Claire sent another text. So sorry, definitely 9. I helped Mason with his nebulizer while my mind raced, trying to convince myself she was just really late. By 8:30, my texts weren't delivering, and when I called Claire's number, it was disconnected. I found her wallet in the medical bag with her ID and credit cards cut in half, like she'd destroyed her old life on purpose. Mason finished his breathing treatment and asked when Mom was coming back, and I didn't know what to tell him. When I called the front desk asking about reaching Claire in room 412, my voice was already shaking. The receptionist got quiet before saying, "Ma'am, room 412 checked out at 6:30. No one should be in that room. You need to leave right now." I started to explain that I couldn't leave, that I was stuck here with a kid who wasn't mine, whose mother had dropped off the face of the earth when Mason started coughing again, and then said in this tiny voice, "Mom said she couldn't watch me die slowly anymore, but that you looked like someone who could handle it." He reached for his vest machine, adding, "Can you help me? I need to do this every 4 hours or I can't breathe." Full story on the channel below.